Welcome, Sojourners. You have found yourself a cozy place here at Sojourners Awake. I'm Jonathan, and this is our production of The Wild and the Wind. Like you, the Sojourners are on a mission, and like you, they have a history. And in this most recent episode, we dive deep into the recesses of Bertie's memories. Time-wise, this episode occurred right as Bertie and Samoon were leaving with Eris on their way to escort Irony. Let's find out what happened that day. And so for now, our story continues. Aramonte skulks behind the unsuspecting pilgrim. Reaching a viney hand, she taps him on the backside. Swinging around to view the intruder, the pilgrim looks all ways into the courtyard, but never sees the young girl manifest into a common plant. He glances around the courtyard and mutters something about ghosts to his friend, but he never felt the pocket journal be lifted from his satchel. The young girl Aramonte steals away into a garden to pore over her stolen goods. Bertie, you are walking through the courtyard the day you left with Samoon to escort Irony on his way to Grovelore. After you pack up your things and prepare for your journey into the kingdom of Northern Titherna, you see Aramonte leaning over a journal in a private corner of a garden within the courtyard. How do you proceed?
Bertie's going to walk up to Aramonte, kind of pat her on the head.
Oh, hi, Bertie. She quickly stows away the journal to the side and makes eye contact with you.
Hi, Aramonte. What are you reading?
Oh, quickly fashioning a story, she relays to you that she has found a journal in the library, borrowed it, and it's just about, well, I don't know what it's about yet. I just got to the first page. It's a journal, a diary, of a long dead adventurer, someone who died a very, very long time ago.
Well, that sounds interesting.
What are you doing?
I'm coming over to say goodbye.
Oh. Where are you going?
Well, me and my companions, we're going on an adventure. We're going to escort Irony out of town.
Oh. Is that where my mom went?
Well, I came over here to just tell you that your mom she left, and she's probably not going to come back for a very long time.
Oh. Okay. Did she say where she was going?
Well, your mom is not from here. She's from a place far away, and she needed to go back home.
You can see Aramonte's eyes moving left and right as if she's trying to remember something. Is that where I'm from, too? Or am I from Bald Top?
Well, you're kind of half from there and half from here. I mean, you are a half a plant, right?
She smiles. Yes. I just wish I knew what the other half I was from. Is it...
Well, probably some plant land far away.
Plant land? Okay. She writes that down. I can research that later. I would like to learn about plant land.
Yeah, me too. I don't know very much about plant land. I just know that Trina loved you very much, and she left you with your dad, who will take care of you and protect you here.
That's good. Well, I guess when she comes home, or comes back to Baldtop, I can tell her all about Plantland, and then we'll have something to talk about.
You know, when I was younger, about your age, my mom left me too, and I turned out okay. I learned how to take care of myself, and I learned how to help people. And when I realized that I was stronger than most people, I realized that I could use that gift for good, or I could use that gift for bad. And I decided that I would use it for good. And I just wanted to tell you that I see that you have gifts too, because your mom is, a plant apparently. And I wanted to encourage you to be good.
I've tried reading the books about good and bad here at Baldtop. There's a lot of good is a vague word.
Well, I look at it like this. When I want to do something, I ask myself, is this going to help or is this going to make things worse? And if I think it's going to make things worse, then I don't do it. Or I
Wow.
try not to do it.
That's so simple. You should write a book, Bertie.
I think they're going to make a statue of me one day at Baldtop. I'm hoping.
Oh, is that what Elastra's working on? She made a statue of you in the temple. It's small, though. Small statue.
Well, maybe it'll be bigger one day.
Maybe. It is very funny to see such a big woman making tiny little statues.
Well, I just wanted to say goodbye, and I wanted to tell you that your mom loves you very much. And even though she's far away, she can still be close to you and your memories. And she wanted to leave Baldtop on a good note. She wanted to leave in a happy way. And so she wanted to leave you with your dad and to know that you were going to be okay.
Thank you, Bertie. I want to be like my mom, so...
Well, just don't talk as much as her. Think before you talk, and then you will, well, you can be like your mom as long as you don't talk like as much as she does.
Well, if you do go to Plantland and you see her, can you tell her that I started learning about music? I can't play anything yet, but I'm reading books on it.
If I see your mom again, I will tell her.
Oh, and she hands you a small little comic book. I found this for Uncle Samoon. It's called special edition for Superfly. I hope he doesn't have this one already. And she hands you a special stolen edition of Superfly. Can you make sure he gets this?
I would be happy to. And then she hands Aramonte a piece of gold and says, I want you to go and give this to the person you acquired this book from.
Oh. Do I have to tell them I took it?
No, I don't think so. I think just give him the gold, because that way then he'll think you're being kind.
Oh, like being good, like helping instead of hurting.
Yes.
Ah, it makes sense. Thank you, Bertie.
You're welcome.
And about that time, Bertie, you walk with Samoon, where two dwarves load up the wagon and irony scribes within a book. And as you journey along the corkscrew highway, Samoon had asked you questions about your upbringing and your family. but obscure memories you were unable to pull from the recesses of your mind. However, due to his prompting, later that night, as you lay upon the ground below the wild sky, your dreams began to ask questions and search around your memories. Hidden dreams and closed memories of a child you once were. And Bertie begins to dream. A low mist rolls over the shadow marshlands. You hear the call of insects and birds fill the air with a deafening chorus. You see the sun staring down at this swampy land and catches a nearby child fishing near her floating home. The child wades her chubby toes in the murky water and laughs as the fish nibble, being caught to their doom. She raises up a hairy foot and lifts the fish up out of the water with her toe. And then she hears her mother call from a distance for her to return. The young girl stands up, adjusts her knapsack, stuffing the fish breakfast away for safety. Following a memorable path through the black needle thrush reeds, she stomps in the safest places, not once the water rising up past her legs. She lands on a raft and lifts a nearby stick from the mud and pushes off towards the homeward call. Now gliding below a low-hanging willow, she stops and listens for predators. Her father warned her of these oversized toads, hungry for young henfolk to devour. The child's eyes go wide with fear as she listens, and then from the boughs of the mangrove trees, a little boy launches himself onto her raft, nearly knocking her into the swamp. She hollers, kicks him in the face, and he rolls over, splashing into the water. Panicked, she extends the oar and lifts him up in the same movement. Her knapsack, full of her breakfast, falls into the marsh, and the fish splashes away. Little Bertie, how do you respond?
Oh, well, I guess I'll just catch another one.
Bertie, Bertie, I am Hurdy! Racket begins splashing around in the water and pulls himself up onto the raft, rubbing his swollen face.
Hey, I think you look better now.
Mama calls you for home.
Oh, how come?
It's breakfast time.
Okay.
As you respond to his cries and push off again in the water, this time, the little girl does not pause for any danger. Meanwhile, an older woman sits on the porch of a home structured with oak wood thatched together with dried phragmite reeds. She whistles away on a persimmon wood flute, and the haunting melody draws Bertie to her home. A younger henfolk, her mother, stands vigil over a pot and dumps a heapload of crabs and other creatures into the boiling water. Some water splashes out of the pot and vaporizes above the dancing flame of their home fires. Racket runs howling at his mother, exclaiming the crimes committed that day, and definitely leaves out his part in the espionage and attempted assassination. Little Bertie, how do you proceed?
Oh, Racket, you'll never beat me.
Ah! Your mother smiles, calms each of you with her noble voice for peace and silence. You summon the will to heed her warning. And we see the two children band together once again to catch a thieving rat. After breakfast, suddenly, the collection of hanging animal bones and sticks rattle together as the wind presses past this ornament above the home's doorway. Both the mother and her mother cast their attention to the west, from where the wind warns. Without a word spoken between them, they douse the fire, call both the children, and stand beneath the wind chimes. And then they listen. Little Bertie, as you are huddled there under your mother, how does she appear?
She's wearing a long tunic that goes down to her ankles with a rope belt. She's got long, kind of curly hair that goes down to her back, the middle of her back. She has a lot of Bertie's features, big nose, big eyes, big ears. Slightly more feminine in appearance.
Moments later, the west wind stops its warning, the women open their eyes, and the children move from beneath their arms. Grandmother speaks. Danger is coming. Big danger. Death. Unsure of its purpose, to kill. The men? They may be dead. The community? They heard it too. This symbiotic conversation occurs, and the mother looks down at her babies, knowing they have little time, for this warning was merciful, but not entirely thoughtful. They did not have time for this unexpected apocalypse to prepare. Instinctively, the mother gathers Bertie and Racket and places them aboard the family raft, with no food, but only hope. With painful tears in her eyes, the mother holds Bertie one last time and whispers in her ear. Grandmother calls out a chant, and her eyes fade to black. She stands and prophesies to the west wind. Curse you if you come for our children. You are a wicked spirit. Her skin instantly begins to age, though her hands stretch towards the west in defiance. The mother places a hand on the raft and commands it to float and find the river and take the children to safety. Racket begins to cry loudly. Bertie, sitting upon the raft. The mother pushes them off and away, and then joins her mother in the chant of defiance. Little Bertie, as Racket is crying, and the raft following the command of your mother, you see grandmother and your mother standing, becoming more and more distant. As we search the recesses of your memory, how does little Bertie respond during this time?
Bertie looks at Racket and grabs his hand. Tells him, Racket, it's going to be okay. Racket, it's going to be okay. I'm going to protect you, and this will be okay.
Bertie and Racket float for hours, and eventually the raft does find the river, exactly as it was commanded by Mama. Racket, now fatigued with hunger, sits dangerously close to the edge. Bertie, you found the strength to speak up to him to come away from the edge to safety. But at this moment he declines, with a defiant yell and inches even closer to the edge, crying towards his mother and his home. How do you respond?
Racket, get over here. Come here, Racket.
Suddenly, a bump in the river lifts up the raft and Racket loses his grip. He falls into the swift river and begins to splash around helplessly. Although a swimmer from birth, today he struggles to maintain control in this wrathful current.
Bertie lunges to the end to try to grab his hand, to the end of the raft to try to grab his hand. And she misses.
As he splashes around, he manages to get hold of the slippery skin on your foot. He reaches and you feel his nails dig in to your side of your foot. His one last scream harmonizes with your painful howl. He lets go, and the river carries him away. A few days later, an exhausted Bertie lays upon the raft. The waters of the bay open before her now, and the waves gently rock the flotsam along an aimless path towards the mauve ocean. Although grief hushes her silent, hunger and thirst now present themselves as her two main enemies. The sun beats down any dark memories of that day and dries out her innocence. That same morning near the beach, a Cartwright named Amos sets out for a much-needed vacation. He sets out to fish even though he has never needed it in his life. Living in Sultana, he was served the finest catch of the day, but after 52 years, he casts a hook and line into the bay. But instead of finding lunch, he sees a young henfolk girl floating on a raft of cypress. He draws upon compassion, unburdened by any family. He reaches down and rescues her. Amos takes her home and tells the story to his friends. Over time, the town accepts her as his daughter, gifted by the sea. Some folks consider it an answer to prayer. Well, she's as good for him as he is for her, God bless her. And so, Bertie, now a Cartwright, grows up in the small town of Sultana. From time to time, Bertie's family visits, in her memories and dreams. When she is angry, her grandmother appears, banjo in hand. When she is reckless, Racket appears, causing mayhem all around her. And when she is sad or ill, sick or sorrowful, her mother appears to bring her back to life. Maybe they are more than a memory. Maybe they live on in spirit, in communion, and maybe as real as the hair upon her feet. And so for now, our story concludes. Every story comes to an ending, so for now we must conclude. Thank you for listening, Sojourners. Your attention will not go unrewarded, and we look forward to continuing this adventure. If you enjoyed this background music and ambiance, you should visit Tabletop Audio. Find them at www.tabletopaudio.com. Continue to follow along with Bertie, Samoon, and Eris as they travel to northern Tetherna. Don't forget to subscribe and share, and take the time to leave a rating and review on your favorite podcasting platform. This helps other Sojourners find us along their path. But however you choose to sojourn with us, as always, may your story continue.